drawing the pavement, driving far from where you are. I just send you raving. I don't understand why. I just won't hand dry. I just won't dry. I don't understand
Just need to clear my mind. Just need a little more time. In with the new, out with the old, but so unsure what the future holds. Regretting the love I once had. Memories are good, but feeling bad. Just need to clear my mind. Just need a little more time. Falling for one wasn't meant to be. Left with so much uncertainty. Try to accept what comes my way. Get me through those harder days.
Listen, you raving. I don't understand why. I just won't hand dry. I just won't dry. I don't understand why. If I could be a man, if I could be a man. Don't wait for me, I'm not getting up. I won't get out of bed. Gonna waste it instead. Don't wait for me, I'm not getting up. I won't get out of bed. Gonna
Dream.
Sheesh.
Kaboom. Oh shit.
Oh no.
It's good. It looks fine on my end. I don't know why it looks like that here. Weird.
It looks like that. It looks like that on the stream too.
Yeah,
What's
I
up,
know.
everybody? Happy Fast Track Fridays. As you can see, Josh grew in size,
Hey.
so he's a big man on campus now.
Hold on. This is super fucking weird.
Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties. It looks like.
Boom. Now
There
we're
we go.
normal size. All
All
right.
right, that sounds good.
Cool. That was weird.
Well,
Welcome back,
that was
folks.
fun while it lasted, I guess.
Hey, Clinton's back. Hello, Clint.
Clinton.
Welcome back. You've referred like everybody from last week. Dude, we have a ton of submissions,
Our
probably
super
in some part due to Clinton.
Oh
So
yeah.
thank you for that.
Clinton.
But yeah, we're back. I'm in a new place here. As you can see, this is not the studio room. This is the poor acoustics room. So if you hear any strange noises, that's that. It'll be fixed
It sounds
soon.
like not bad at all.
It's all right, but it's mostly the mic, right?
Yeah, that's mostly the mic. Happy Friday, everyone, says Clinton. Beetle, what's
Beetle.
up, Beetle? That's an old
What's
friend of the
up?
stream.
Neck like a giraffe. Who's that?
I don't know, but what's up? Peace, family.
Peace,
What's up?
family.
It says first time chat, so welcome. So yeah, as Josh alluded to, we have a bunch of submissions.
A
So
lot.
thank you, everybody, including Clinton. Shouts out Clinton. I don't know what his viral coefficient's at, but he is basically Omicron, but for the stream.
Yeah,
And we
in a
appreciate
good
it.
way.
In the best way, yeah. But we'll go ahead and go just through list the people that we have, and let you know the queue. So first up is Cortex with 2 X's there. Then we have So I Thought, At Odds, Asnadel at 4, Bless at 5, Lauer at 6, Quo at 7, Shibble B 8, Rix's 9. Oh shit, Castanovo. He's one of the guys from Hip Hop Collective.
Oh, nice.
And then 11 is Meadle. So we fucking review music in detail, and that means it takes us a long time. So 11, that's gonna be tough to get through. So just keep that in mind. That if you guys, I would say, if you're past 6 or 7, it might be we might not be able to get to you. But that being said, sometimes like people's submissions, like they delete the track, or sometimes people even say, "Hey, I gotta go. Can you review me live next week?" So um, I would say just put us on in the background if you're later in the queue, and then if it comes up that your name is there, then you'll be there and you'll be ready to go live. But if anything else, if you guys want to stick around and give feedback, I think that's one of the biggest value adds of our stream is that the people that watch us give really good feedback too. So I'm looking at odds especially. But yeah, so with that being said, we can go ahead and I guess just jump right into the music. What do you think, Josh? Do you have
Yeah.
anything to say?
Let's do it. I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe to just give a little hint that part of this problem of having too many submissions, it's great because we love listening to your guys' music and giving
Oh, yeah.
feedback, and we try to balance like giving really good, useful feedback with fitting as many people in as possible in the time we have. But sooner or later, we will have a better way of getting you guys feedback from a variety of people, not just us, and getting it faster, and also not having to wait for next week's stream if we got too many. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Follow us on our socials if you want to stay up to date on that.
Oh yeah. Also, last thing before we get into the music is if you submit, no matter what, we will get to you. So there's a queue, and we will get through the queue. So help us God. So if
Yes.
you really want us to give a review and have a chance to be on our playlists, one of them, all submissions go on the playlist. If you're on the either SoundCloud public, or if you're in Spotify or whatever, Apple Music, all that stuff. And then the other one is if you get a purple score, this top tier track, we think you guys are really, really good and deserve the recognition. We have like a purple tier playlist just for you guys. So I would say, hey man, if you have songs you want to show off, or you have songs that you're working on and want to get feedback on them, submit it anyways, and we will get to you.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. That being
All
said,
right.
let's go to Cortex.
Let's do it. Do we have a description here? Let's see. It's a
Oh,
work in
shit.
progress. The song is called Mind Games. Project description is influences include Dead with the Dance, Dance with the Dead. I
Oh.
read that wrong.
Okay.
The Midnight Pilot. Okay, cool.
Do you know any of this? I don't know Midnight Pilot or
No,
Dance of the Dead. But
this is that I've heard of, but
okay. But right off the bat, there's like Thanos in a fucking EEG suit. Looks pretty sweet. Mind Games Cortex. Is that all?
yep.
All right, then with further ado, we'll go Mind Games Cortex here on Fast Track Music. 3, 2, 1. Nice little drop there. Ooh, I like that. I like those. I love those trancy synths. Bass stab is really nice too. Nice movement of drums. Maybe I'd like a little more.
Cool lead.
Love the arpeggiator.
Side chained arpeggiator.
There we go.
Yeah, that's cool.
Change up.
Dope. That is cool album art.
Very nice
Nice
overall
fade out
sound.
there. Yeah,
That was Mind Games Cortex. Dude, when that first like trancy like top synth there came in, oh,
yeah,
I was in love.
I
I
like
love
that
this
thing.
guy's album artwork, and the his profile pictures looks really really sweet.
Yeah,
It's
cohesive.
that it's got that fast track purple, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
But yeah, dude. First impressions for you, Josh.
Man, I mean, I think you said like overall, it's got a good sound to it. I feel like maybe the mastering it feels like fairly professional. Like it's pretty uniform throughout.
Mm,
I wouldn't say there's any points when I feel like levels are too out of whack or anything like that.
mm,
Um, th- I mean, there's a couple of comments that I have more related to like mixing and production,
mm,
and a couple of things with arrangement.
mm.
But do you want to give your first impressions and we can dive into the categories?
Yeah, I think my biggest gripes later will come in arrangement. But yeah, so a lot to love here. Um, I think all the sound choice sounds pretty decent. Everything sounds nice and full. The trance leads and the bass stabs, I am a big fan of those. I think
Yeah.
they really do a great job of filling out the soundscape in the track. Um, I'm trying to think of anything else. This is like I would say I forgot who was the other guy that really impressed me with um, their synthwave, and I always talk about Carpenter Brute, but
Was that last week?
it might have been, yeah. Like I'm not sure. It seems to be getting better and better. But yeah, this is like I see like I get like a similar Carpenter Brute vibe here, but there's something a little bit extra that Carpenter Brute does that I would really like that sets him apart from something like this. And I'll get into that in my kind of in detail comments, but we'll go ahead and go to vibe first. So Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, vibes. I mean, I like it overall.
Yeah.
Again, I think there's always things for us, especially I think that as like critical listeners that
Mm.
from the other categories more specifically can feed into or affect vibes.
Yep.
And I think like considering those less,
Mm.
overall, I like what he's got going here. I think that the lead part and the stabs and the bass lines and the variation are all really fun.
Mm.
It's fun to listen to. So I
Yep.
mean, vibes, I would give it uh, somewhere close to green. Pretty much good to go for the overall like feel of the track.
I think so too. It's cohesive with the album art, like
Yeah,
Mind Games Cortex. It looks really cool. Uh, the profile picture again, everything matches. Everything sounds solid. Um, yeah, I think I would give vibes pretty much green too. So good job, Cortex. And just listening to it, like we think it sounds professional in terms of the mastering, so it's good.
hmm
Now arrangement, Josh, what do you think?
yeah. So I mean, for the content side, I think
Oh, sorry, content.
it,
Yeah, I always
it's
forget.
a subcategory of content basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I think like the overall like structure of the song, the parts, the hierarchy of like sounds and the structure of like where your lead is placed and your bass lines and all that stuff is like well arranged, well put together. The main thing that I started thinking was like I think it does go on a little bit long. Uh, it's pretty repetitive. I really like that you had some sections that switched it up, but I thought like there was that one in the middle where it kind of like brought the energy down a little bit. It was like, oh, this is cool. Like, where's this going? And then it
Mhm,
like didn't really last very long like that, and it kind of went right back to the same thing again. And then
mhm,
there was like another like 2 minutes of the same thing
mhm.
basically that we heard in the first half of the song.
Yep.
So I would just like either shorten it up or like add like don't be afraid to make it like even more out there sort of because I thought you were going somewhere really different with that that middle like breakdown, and then it didn't really go to a place very far away, right? It was kind of
Mhm.
just around the corner and back.
Mhm.
So that yeah, that's really the main thing I have in content. I would give it like a 60% between yellow and green.
Mhm. I
What
see
about
that.
you?
I share that same exact kind of analysis there. It's just too long for me and a little bit too repetitive. Too, I got bored. Like, so you could have like the coolest, most solid sounding thing, um, like that melody part that was kind of introduced to us in the beginning. That little glide, like it's a very kind of objectively cool thing that you do there.
Yeah.
But it's stationed throughout the entire song, um, in a manner that to me that I think it's repetitive.
Yeah, I mean, about that part specifically, like I did think that it was good, right? Like it's like sonically appealing, and the glide is cool and all that. I just wish in a way that like the if you can change it, I mean, it might just be a sample, but if it's a synth, like it's a little bit too simple almost, and the way that you're like repeating it over and over, I
Mhm.
wish that it did like the first half, like the glide was the same, and the second half was something a little bit more unexpected, because
Mhm.
then it would be just a little bit more like complex, and it would be purposed better in the multiple times it's used if it
Mhm.
wasn't so simple. I
Yep.
think it's just like the being really quite simple and then happening so many times starts to get a little bit stale.
Mhm. Yes.
Sorry, go on.
Um, no, it's fine. And like, I was thinking too when the part when Josh was talking about when the energy goes down a little bit. Literally in my mind, I was thinking like, when is the drums gonna drop out? Like, it'd be nice if the drums dropped out.
Yeah,
But literally the whole time it's there, kick snare, kick snare, kick
right.
snare, the whole song, except for the end. And I was like, this would have been a great little dropout in the middle to give
Yeah.
me a little respite. Um, and yeah, it could give you just more variation. Cause I don't know, like I wouldn't say the entire goal is to try to have someone. I don't know. I could say this with a pretty strong feeling in my gut, saying you want to have your listener listen to the whole song, right? So if you
Yeah,
could offer some sort of variation to keep them to stay, i.e., that dropout you do at the end, don't save it for the end. Do it in the middle too. Why not?
right.
That would have helped me stay a little bit longer, more attentive. But um, I think that's overall arrangement, but, at the micro scale, mix wise and all the instruments going on, and I heard like risers here and there, and they're in different parts of my ear, and it was sonically interesting to listening to at that kind of level. So I think you did an overall pretty good job. And so I shared Josh's maybe 60-70% between green and yellow. And finally, production. Josh, what have you got?
Yeah, I mean, so the production thing, the first thing that I noticed fairly early on, it sounded just like slightly washed out, I thought.
Mm,
Like I actually was wondering if there was a reverb that might have been put over everything or something like
mm,
that, because I know like that snare was pretty heavily reverbed, kind of
mm,
a short plate reverb almost. But I felt like this weird sense of like everything was a little bit like washed out or mushy, and it could be that there's some sort of reverb like draped over everything where there really shouldn't be. Like your bass probably shouldn't. Like you can do uh things with like multi-band routing where you're like not putting the low end of the bass through the reverb, but
mm,
you're kind of like filtering on a bus or something and then putting reverb on that if you want to get like the timbral element to be feel like it's in a space.
yeah.
But you'll wash out your sort of foundation and the oomph from your track if you put everything through a reverb, especially stuff that's like low end content, more foundational. It just kind of gets washed out.
Mm,
So that could be it. It could just be that there's like some sort of master bus processing that's a little bit too aggressive, whether that's like some weird like exciter plugin maybe or like a compressor that's doing a little bit too much. The other thing that goes with that, and it could be part of the problem,
Wait, in the
is
high end or being washed out?
I what do you mean? I mean just being it's I just felt like the whole track in general feels like there's some sort of like film over it almost,
I
right?
see.
Like
Okay.
it's like and that's usually indicative of like some sort of reverb or some sort of processing that's been applied to the master bus and is
Mhm.
is making it hard to make out the separation between different parts, different
I see.
instruments.
I see.
So it sounds like kind of a mush together rather than like really like distinct, punchy individual parts that are all working together.
Mhm, mhm,
So that might be part of it. The other side was I noticed I was like turning my volume down to figure out if I could like identify better what the issue is, and I noticed the side chain is pretty aggressive actually throughout, like on all of the pads or whatever. They're pumping like basically the whole time, and it could partly be that where it's like the volume change of like too many elements for your ears all at the same time. You can't really like your ear can't focus on what's happening as well because the volume is constantly modulating.
mhm,
It can work really well if you like allow. I think specifically one thing people do is letting the reverb like not always be super side chained, or like you need to have something that's not being affected by the side chain constantly. There are moments when you can have everything kind of suck out and it's kind of cool. But if you're in like this weird middle ground where you're not getting so much of that, like the air is sucking out of your ears effect, where it's
mhm.
not that dramatic, but it's just going throughout the whole time and everything is kind of being pushed up and down. Again, it's just sort of this ambiguity that you get, and it sounds like things are mushed together, and it's hard to make out what different instruments are doing. So I would just be careful of like those sort of master bus processing moves that are
Mhm.
affecting a lot of things and making it hard to be have the instruments be defined in their own spaces more.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the main thing that I had. What about you? Oh, and for,
Sausage
yeah,
fattener on the master bus.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, for production, I would give it probably like a 40% between yellow and green.
Yeah, because it is pretty solid otherwise.
Yeah, otherwise it is.
um, I'm glad that you're here to kind of explain exactly what you think is might be happening with some sort of phenomenon. Because um, I share a similar critique there, and I think you explained it pretty well. So, I did mention that I like the drum samples themselves. It's like, oh, this the oomph in the drums is nice, but then as time went on, I was like, maybe I could have a little more oomph.
Yeah.
Um, so that's like, I wonder if I was going to ask you too during your explanation if um, they were side chained to the drums, right?
I think so, but I don't remember what the drum part was doing exactly musically. But
That's it.
yeah, I think it was chained to just to the kick.
I see.
It
Okay.
was just like it was quarter notes, I think.
Hmm, hmm. Yeah, because I would, typically I would say, "Oh, sidechain it," to get more oomph out of it. I could
Yeah,
just be, turn the level up on it or maybe compress it, just like the actual sounds themselves, but I don't know, it was really close. It's almost like a nitpicky point because in the beginning I did like it. Maybe if it just wasn't the whole time, I wouldn't have got tired of it, perhaps.
yeah.
So
I will also just say quickly, like I think a little bit more dynamic range probably could have been good throughout this. Like, I mean, you can see it in the waveform, but I was just, and that could be part of the punchiness thing. Like, everything is just underneath a master compressor or a master limiter that is doing a little bit too much. It's killing the vibe. So,
mm,
just being careful with that. That's like common because your ears, volume is like crack to your ears, and so you have to be careful. You have to balance ride the volume knob so you can discern what sounds better versus what sounds louder.
hmm. Wise words. With that, I will give I think 50% between yellow and green is decent. For an overall track total, for me, it's pretty much good to go. Um, and I think it's a release here, so uh, not too much to change. As mixing engineers, I think we would give it another go, but the changes are pretty minor, and hopefully they're pretty easy. The arrangement too, I guess, that was one of my bigger gripes because it kind of led to the drums becoming stale. So I think pretty much it would be maybe 75% green to yellow ratio.
Yeah, I was gonna say exactly the same.
Yeah,
75% between yellow and green, and just thinking about this
pretty solid.
like cohesively or overall. Um, there are a couple unique elements like that lead part is memorable, and the
I love the trancey synths in the
yeah,
beginning.
the
The
synths
high.
are nice, and
Mhm,
the breakdown is memorable. But
mhm,
I feel like this could use a little bit more like personality or uniqueness. Like it feels a little bit like a template of a song, aside from those things that are, we mentioned that are unique.
Yeah.
So I just want to hear a little bit more like personality and a little bit more dynamic, and it's a little bit like flat right now, I feel like. But there are
Yeah.
ways to improve that, which we talked about.
Yeah, so Cortex, you have as an artist, man, you have a solid base. Now just go crazy with it. Do
Yeah,
something
exactly.
ridiculous.
Yep.
And that's something that I'm beginning to appreciate more and more when artists are just fucking weird or
Yeah.
unique. It's like, oh shit, what is that? Like that's cool.
Yep.
So cool.
All right.
That was Cortex. We'll go to the next person.
Thanks, Cortex.
Outrunner, thank you, Cortex. By So I Thought. It's a work in progress. That's good. Oh, Cortex, it says a work in progress, actually, even though it's public on SoundCloud. So, hey, man, if you make the, or gal, if you make the changes, we'd love to hear another submission. That'd be sick.
Yes.
Have another chance to get up to the green, perhaps even the purple.
Ooh.
See it. But yeah, for now, we'll go to the next song. So I don't see a description here.
Nope.
It is So I Thought Outrunner. So
work in progress.
Cool. Work in progress. Track private. Any other comments before we start?
Nope. Let's do it.
All right. Outrunner. So I thought 3, 2, 1. Synthwave here?
Could be. I like that. Filter.
Okay. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
It's a dark timbre to it.
I love that shit, dude.
That bass fills it up.
Those little stabs are almost like horns, and they're so subtle. It's so nice.
Yeah, some interesting stuff going on. This has a decent, like a little more personality.
Yeah. Unique.
Nice change up.
Interesting filtering going on here. A lot of it.
Kind of an underwhelming beat there.
It sort of makes you want a little bit more, but then you like wait it out through the song and see what happens.
Right. Like that lead is great. That lead is awesome. I need some toms, you know? Oh shit! Here we go. Let's speed up.
Oh shit.
There we go. This is what I want to hear.
Wow, that's fast. This needs like a visual. This needs a really cool video.
This last part I think needs a lead.
Cool.
404
Wow.
out
Really
further. So
cool.
I thought, yeah, dude, that's what we're talking about. Like, that's a direct contrast from what happened last time. Like, look at the waveform.
It's like a
You know,
response to the previous one. Like
it
it's interesting.
kind
It's
of
like
is.
the other side of the coin.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah. So I love it when people try ambiguous stuff, or not ambiguous, maybe ambitious, things like that. So that's a gold star for you right there. So I thought, from
Yeah.
me, um, I mean, you heard my first impressions throughout the song. Josh, what do you have?
Dude, I mean, firstly, I love when people like know their way around sonic textures and like sculpting sound kind of, and I think that's what's happening here, right? Like I
Mhm.
mean, first of all, the dynamics are pretty awesome, right? Like you've got there's it's one of those things that kind of like pulls you through the song because like you said earlier, there are parts that feel like maybe slightly underwhelming, and there are a couple of improvements I think that could be made in some specific areas relating to that. But it's the subtleties that I think like make it really interesting and make you want more, kind of. And you can again like you're not really supposed to use your eyes so much in mixing, but you can tell when something is not dynamic versus when it is. And with this, you can see like in the verses, the level comes way down. It's so refreshing because it gives your ears a chance to take a break a little bit. And then when that drop comes back in, the drums and all that, it's super satisfying. So really nice to hear that. I also really like when a timbre is a little bit darker sometimes, especially in these like 80s type, synth driven songs. Um, I think there's a couple of things by like The Weeknd that kind of have that vibe, and it's like this cool kind of smoky vibe that you don't often hear. I can't tell you how many synthwave songs we hear that are like super bright to the point where they're either a little bit painful or just it's all kind of the same. So it's really great to hear more experimentation with the sonic textures and the frequency space and all of that stuff. Um, Overall, and I also think there's a ton of cool like sound choices. It's not just like repeated loops, right? Like there's definitely repetition in a good way, but there are variations in each chorus that are really nice. It doesn't feel like it's all the same. Uh, Towards the end, there's a ton of cool stuff happening on that outro,
Yeah.
like a lot of changes in the vibe and the sort of like sonic landscape. Um, and yeah, overall, I mean, it's 4 minutes. I don't really feel like it's too long. The
Mhm.
only thing maybe is like that last section, the fast section, is like it's a sizable chunk. But I think the end sort of makes up for it because then it like gives you something really cool, and you're like, oh yeah, like it was worth listening to this point because of all that
Mhm.
stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, should we do our scores?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. What do you think about vibes?
Uh, I love that big room, big bass timbre that it brought. It really filled up my cans.
Yeah.
Uh, and the drums, the snare was like a weird kind of pitched down snare,
Yeah.
but had a oomph to it. It was cool. Um, I love the da, 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 like that synth. It has like such character to it. It's so
Hmm.
unique sounding. Um, the first thought I had was like, oh, this is like a Super Mario 64 synth or something. Um, but it was charming. It was cool. It was weird. The melody was all over the place. It was awesome. Um, I think for the most part, vibes. I'm pretty happy with it. I don't think anything threw me off. In accordance to my like live reaction, first part I loved. Drops out. It's nice, and then it comes back in, and then there's this lead that has like it's like really quiet in terms of volume compared to the
Yeah.
other lead. The melody's much simpler, and the synth itself is just a little bland. And then the that kind of favorite synth that I had comes in a little bit later. Then it drops out, and then there I was like, oh, it'd be cool to have like some tom fills and go to another section. No tom fills, but it sped up, which caught me by surprise, and I'm always pleasantly surprised there. And then it goes to the speeded up section. It gets me all hyped up, but then almost like I felt a little underwhelmed. It was like sped up, but like kind of the same chord structure, um, except maybe even extended. So like just to get through one sequence of the chord structure, it was like much longer. And then there's seemingly no lead, but then the later half of that fast section was really, really good in my opinion because there's a
Yeah.
lead. It was nice and big, filled up the whole sonic space. And then at the end there, it's a nice little drop off at the end. So that's kind of like my roller coaster ride of this song. In my opinion, it's better than a flat um, uh, non roller coaster. So that's great. I'm not pushing my cart anywhere, but um, in terms of the vibe, I think for the most part, I love the timbre, darkness, punchy drums. I appreciate the variation there, but at some points, just a little some points, I felt um, it to be a little underwhelming. So I think for the most part, it's solid. I think I'd give it 85% between green and yellow. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that stuff. I would also say, and this kind of maybe I'll just knock out content because I don't have a
Good.
whole lot to say about that either. Like, I think, uh, I mean, the vibes, like you saw a reaction, right? Like, it's super cool. Uh, yeah, vibes. I don't have much more than that. I would say it's probably like 85-90% between yellow and green. Content, I agree on the first half of that faster section at the end. Just trying to either make it like a little bit more concise or more interesting or both. A little bit of work could be done there. And yeah, I mean, again, like I don't really have that much. The one thing that I'm sort of coming back to, like the most glaring issue, this is more production, but that synth part at the beginning, actually both of your leads, I think, or a couple of your leads throughout were not loud enough relative to the rest of the stuff. Like your beat and the mixing of that and the sonics and the arrangement are so good, like super good. But those lead parts are getting lost. So I think like at the beginning, like volume definitely would be one solution to that part. Later, I was thinking volume, a little bit of compression, maybe a little bit less direct reverb, and also a little bit of side chaining of the lead part to the other main instrumentation could help it sort of come through the mix a little bit more. But I mean, that's really like my main gripe with it. Aside from that fast section maybe going on a little bit long, it's just that your lead parts need to be a little bit more audible. And maybe I wasn't sure if I loved the timbre of the original lead. Like it caught me off guard a little bit. It just felt like it contrasted the vibe, like this sort of dark vibe, in a bit of a strange way. So I don't know if that's something that you'd want to look into, or maybe it's fixed with the mixing and production side. But uh, yeah, I mean, relative to those comments, I would say content is um, like an 80 75 80% to green. And then production is like probably 60 or 70% of the way to green. What do you think?
I think I'd flip it. And I just want to say shout out to Cortex, by the way.
I think your audio is super low right now for some reason.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry, I turned it down because I'm blowing my nose over here.
Oh.
Um, I just want to say shout out to Cortex in the chat. I guess are you like hanging out with Clinton right now? Are you hacking him? Like what's going on? But says excellent feedback, guys. Appreciate you.
Maybe he's like a what's
Like a
the word?
brother or friend or spouse.
No, like an alter ego.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe it's just Clinton in disguise. But
Yeah.
um, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I would flip it. So I don't think I have too many problems production wise. I think most of my stuff was arrangement, but and I kind of walked you through not sorry, content. And I walked you through kind of um my little journey there with the content and I'd say for the most part it's pretty good and I appreciated it the little journey that you did take me on. And then I gave you my food for thought of what I would change. Um so in that kind of second chunk that's loud there, I would say the beginning lead is quiet, it lacks character. In the very first section, uh, I agree that with Josh that it caught me off guard, but to me, I was like smiling and I was happy that it was so weird, like because it was a big bass kind of sound, and I could expect something different, but I learned to like that weird synth. But then the quieter synth happened, and I was like, "What's happening?" And then the fast thing happened. I was like, "Oh, this is cool." But during like into the fast section, it was just like, "This is underwhelming. Where's the lead?" And then the lead comes in at the later part of the fast section. I was like, "This is dope." So, um, that being said, like all of that, I don't say anything with production. Like production, I think it sounds nice and loud. Everything sounds stereo spaced well. I don't think I've noticed too much kind of heterogeneity now that I think about it in the stereo space. So maybe you could, spice things up there, but I didn't really notice it as a down point. Yeah, I don't think I see anything clashing. I do see that there's volume issues, so I concede to Josh that some of those leads do get lost. I see where the production comes in. So, with all that being said, I think I would flip it. I would say like 70% for the content part, and then 80% for production between green and yellow.
Cool.
And that kind of puts me at what did I say? The last one, 75. I would say this is like 82% green yellow.
I'm gonna say like I think it's like 85. I mean, like even
see that.
85 or like somewhere around there. I mean, it's really good, but
Yeah.
there's just a couple of things, but overall, really impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, you're close, man.
Yeah.
This track is private, so we'd love to hear a final version once it gets out. But I think so. I thought submitted more than once. I've definitely seen them in chat more than once.
I think so.
Yeah, they have. They're the first one who said, "Hey, can you move me next week?" By the way, that was a stream first.
Oh, nice.
But anyways, thank you. So I thought that's what we thought, and we'll go to the next one, which is At Odds.
At odds.
Friend of the stream here. It's a work in progress. Where is this link here? There it is. SoundCloud link. It's called Shadow Wanderer and Tasha Baxter Slip Away at Odds remix. So it's a remix. He says, did the remix and added my vocals for remix comp. Oh shit. At Odds, if you're here, man, or whenever you see this, when is it? What's the details? Let's send everybody to vote for you.
Yeah.
If we're impressed, of course. Vote fairly, everybody. Vote fairly. Best artists win, right? But FastTrack perks. Okay, so that's Shadow Wanderer and Tasha Baxter Slip Away at Odds remix. Yeah, that's everything. You ready to listen to it?
Yep, let's do it.
Cool. At Odds, 3, 2, 1.
Truth be told, I'm golden. There isn't a single day stolen. I'm the mold that's already been broken. Too bespoke to have a slogan or be spoken with ease. My blood ain't hemoglobin, it's straight grease. Everything I say is slick, like I've leaked into the seas. I might be the only pea in the pod who's sick from green. Bathed in the forest and came up clean, but still enough in my bank to let out a Wilhelm scream. Shame. What I know about pain can be summed up in a single phrase. So I say it's simple and plain. Thoughts overgrown can consume the brain. Even pity parties suck if you're the only one there and still a drain.
This beat is crazy. Oh, is he writing another verse?
I don't know. I like that swing.
Yeah. It's like Dilla-esque.
Yeah.
I have you all deep like I'm David Blaine. My magic is something that can be explained, but an illusion loses its zest if you know the game. I picked up a few tricks listening to rain on the window pane. It speaks to my soul, I'm misplaced on another plane. I abuse the code like it's 1.0. gains are gains. I ain't sane, I'm happily insane. I ain't five head, I'm an open vein. But the river ran dry and our woke blood stains. It was all in vain.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
The beat work is magnificent.
Yeah.
I remember At Odds being like that, and his lyrics, if I remember correctly, lyrics and rapping style, he very much so likes Earl Sweatshirt because I can hear it.
Right.
Um, yeah, dude, my first impression is that beat bops, man. That beat bops. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Very Jay Dilla esque in terms of the swing there. It's like very
Yeah.
pocket.
Definitely.
What do you have for first impressions, man?
Man, I mean, that's the main thing I think is like that beat really does hit. Yeah, I think it's like that 808 also sounds really good.
Mhm,
The 808 and like what it's doing rhythmically, I think is like kind of sleek.
mhm,
So yeah, I like that. I mean, the main thing that kind of stuck out to me a little bit, I think especially at the beginning, the vocal sounds a little bit like too present, maybe a
mhm.
little bit out of place relative to the beat.
Yep.
And again, whether that's like a volume issue or an EQ thing, whether maybe the vocal might have a little bit too much low end, low mids.
Mm,
Um, but other than that, I mean, I think things sit pretty well. I think those sections that are kind of like the weird sections, right? Like in the middle, there's one, and then towards the end,
mm,
um, I'm sort of not convinced entirely about like what their purpose is.
mhm.
They feel like they go on a little bit long, and you're like waiting for something to make sense, kind of.
Yep.
Uh, so those I was a little bit confused by because the groove is so good, but then when you step out into this sort of like sort of disorganized feeling space, and you're
Mhm.
like waiting to get into something, it's a little bit feels a little bit out of place to me.
Yep.
But overall, I mean, that groove is stuck in my head.
Mhm. Yeah. I tend to agree with you. Uh, this might go into my vibes thing too, but that last bit that you just said, or I mean, I have to pick it apart from a little bit before the end of what you said, but it was like in those middle sections where where there's no beat, there's no anything. Um, what exactly did you say? You said you're like, there's like a bunch of weird things there. I don't know what the purpose is, and you're waiting for something to make sense. Is that what you?
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
kind of say the same thing for the lyrical content.
Hmm.
I turned my hip hop head on as much as I can. Like disclaimer, when I listen to hip hop, even and I'm a vocalist, I try to get a lot of the bars, the first go around, but um, a lot of times. Like when I'm listening to Earl Sweatshirt, I don't know what the fuck is like the message here. I don't know what is happening. Heard a lot of brain lines drop, or a lot of five head drops there as well, but I just couldn't get the punchlines right off the back. So, they might be really clever and they might be really dope, and I might have to listen to a second time. But the first listen, I'm just kind of perplexed there. And I think Josh is right about the presence. Uh, I think the vocal seems like it's out of place with the track.
Yeah.
The track is this very kind of, I don't want to say avant-garde, but it's weird. It's dreamy. It's got this boom, psh, boom, like this
Yeah.
fucking groove to it. Like back of the smoke shop, kind of like eerie vibe to it. And then this vocal is just so crystal clear, like up front and um, kind of like in my ear. It's just weird.
Yeah.
The
I
beat's like
almost wonder, like when you said about like like smoke shop, like
yeah,
there's sort of this cool like ethereal almost like vibe to the beat.
yeah,
Even like adding something to kind of like dirty up the vocal a little bit. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like what whether
yeah,
you put like some like tape noise over it
yeah.
or like record like some sort of grain, right?
Yes, yes,
Something like that maybe could work.
dude. I'm thinking, yeah, that's a great point. A lot of the time at odds, I was thinking like, you know who would sound really, really cool on this track? I thought of like West Side Gun from what's his Griselda. Um and also similarly, after you said your point, Josh, um, anyone from the Wu Tang Clan, because they also have very gritty voices. They have very gritty recording.
Yeah.
Um, it's just that old style that's just high energy and like very nasal. And he's like in the throat area, and it's just like very present. And
Yeah.
it was kind
You
of
know,
a little low energy for me, and, the reason why I'm doing all of this analysis, one is because I do vocal performance, like, that's my thing, like, that's what I've been focused on for the past couple of years. Vocal performance, vocal mixing, writing raps and flows and performing for people and just iterating on my craft, and that all goes into say what I felt with the vibe. Um, and, like, the beat blew me away in terms of vibe. If I were to give the beat a vibe, it's a green right away. Um but with the vocals, I think it's a mismatch. I would like a lot more grittiness in the performance, a lot more energy, I would say, to kind of match the weird, kind of cool bop pocket flow that's happening in the beat. Um, I don't know. I just felt like the vocal delivery for me was a little lacking there to give me a high vibe score. So I would say it's between yellow and green for sure. Maybe 30%. What do you think, Josh? Sorry, I cut you off too. Were you gonna say something?
you mentioned about like the gritty vocal and like the beat. It sort of made me think of Tribe Called Quest a little bit.
For
Like
sure.
I'm thinking of like some of that
Dude,
combination of kind of grittier vocals with like this kind of similar beat, the nice swing, kind of that kind
dude,
of thing.
for sure. Jay Dilla also worked with them a lot and like Q-Tip
Yeah,
and stuff. So
yeah,
at odds, you're a fantastic producer, first and foremost. And
yeah,
um
definitely.
you're definitely a smart rapper. I just want more energy from you.
Yeah,
I don't want you to like maybe mimic people for practice, but like try going for like a higher pitched, like gritty delivery. Like West Side Gun is like, "Hey yo," like he's that high, and like
yeah,
I think he would work so well here. Like, "Hey yo, boo 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 boo," like on this fucking
right.
shit. Like, but
You
anyways,
should get on
sick.
it.
Maybe like I love this beat first of all, but
Yeah, it's cool.
I don't know if I could do that. I could try it, but at odds, man. Like, yeah, I would love to hear you go crazy on something like that. But anyways, sorry, Josh. What's your vibes score?
Um, I mean, yeah, overall, I like the beat a lot. I think it feels a little bit disorganized. Like the vibe is not necessarily matched between the vocal and beat. Those lost sections, right? They make me feel a little bit lost as a listener. So
Mhm.
I think like it's the beat itself is such a good vibe, right? It adds so many points, and the other parts just feel like it needs to be tied together a little bit better.
Mm.
So I would give it like a 50% between yellow and green.
Mhm.
For the most part, I like it, but I think you could just do a little bit of cleaning up around like the way it's arranged and that kind of thing. And with that, do you want to get into content?
Yes, I do. Good segue. Um, I'm gonna, for me, man, I'm gonna focus on the vocal performance, and I think that
Sure.
also. So I explained a lot of vocal performance already in vibes, but it was just to say like what was my overall kind of impression. That's what I heard. It was mostly the mismatch between the beat and the the vocal delivery. The way that I would change the vocal delivery in terms of content there. Um, I had this thought when Josh was talking about what the delivery sounded like to me as of right now. It sounds kind of like spoken word to me almost. Um, spoken word, typically not done to a beat. Um, and at least when I've heard it, like spoken word really emphasizes like the end of a rhyme scheme or something. So I heard that in kind of your vocal inflection, like uh, ba 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 da na 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 no, ba 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 da no. Like I heard that like throughout the whole song. Where I appreciate, in hip hop and rappers where they do like a rhyme scheme that's complex and it's effortless and it sounds buttery smooth versus they're shoving me down the face what syllable is being rhymed. So like
Right.
in conjunction with this smooth ass buttery fucking pocket flow beat, I want to hear like a vocal that kind of sits with it versus that's just shoving a rhyme scheme down my face that could be perceived as spoken word. Really, if I took out the track, I would see like, oh, this is kind of like a spoken word
Yeah.
delivery. Um, so that's me being super hypercritical, uh, and on just one section of the song, mind you. I would love to hear the original song that you remixed because I mean this Dilla-esque drums and dreamy production is ridiculously fire. So, um, I would say I do agree with Josh that the middle sections there, as they are, where there's no beat. It's kind of jumbled. I don't know what exactly the purpose it serves there. Like I could see it being there for a much shorter amount of time, but the way that it's laid out there right now, it's a little confusing. So if I were to give the beat by itself, it's like maybe 80%, 85% between green and yellow. With the vocals, the vocal performance as it is, I would say gives it to um like a 25% between green and yellow. Cuz I would, if I were you, I would try to retake this. Um and you don't have to change the rhyme scheme or the words themselves. I would just literally play with flow and delivery. um, and energy. See what you can do there. That's just completely different. Um, Even just like freestyle, maybe just freestyle, and that's how I come up with a bunch of weird fucking flows, and just be committed to say I'm gonna do this in a West Side Gun impression, and then see what happens. So, yeah, that's my long-winded content score. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I'll defer to you about the lyric and flow end of things. I think those
Sure.
are accurate statements.
Ye-
Um, and again, just to maybe give a little bit of potentially actionable advice for the still call them the lost sections, right? Where you're a little bit lost and they're kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like I know there are examples of songs that have a weird nebulous area that is cool and makes sense and it builds tension, but you need to have some sort of underlying like heartbeat or like motive or development that underscores the chaos, right? Like there needs to be chaos that's sitting just on top of some sort of uh like predictability, right? Some sort of order, even if it's very subtle. So like some element, like whether you have like some subtle like background side chaining happening that's kind of keeping a little bit of a slight beat, a little bit of a pulse that keeps things driving along, or whether that's like some sort of like noise that is like slowly changing over time, like with like a slight filter sweep. Like we need something consistent, some semblance of consistency through that kind of section to like pull us through, right?
Mhm.
Like we're like on a track or a sled and we're being pulled through all this craziness, this crazy scene. But right now, like we're just like stagnant in this crazy scene, and then we're like, we're not moving. Like when are we gonna get there? And when you have something that's either guiding with like a a heartbeat underneath things, or a progression of like a sweep or something that gives it the sense of some sort of motion,
Mm,
then we feel like not so lost. We feel like we're on the way to something. We might not know what the path looks like, but we know that we're going somewhere. So
mm,
those could be a couple of specific ways to implement a little bit of order within the disorder.
mm, mhm,
So I mean, for content, I think like that, and then maybe the vocal being a little bit mismatched with the beat. I would probably give it like a 20% between develop and good to go. You do get points for like the beat being really cool and all that, but the organization and the cohesiveness is where it needs a little work.
mhm. Yes, the beat is fire. By the way, I've been bumping my head to it the whole
Yeah.
time we're talking about this song. So, really, like, fantastic work. Um,
Hmm.
Production wise, I think I'll pair it a little bit from what Josh said in his first. I think it was your first impressions or maybe your vibes about
Yeah.
just the vocals, and we already talked about it. What we would do, maybe there's a little bit too much low mids. This sounds very present. Maybe you can even add a little bit of distortion or some sort of EQ to make it sound a little more old timey. Um, I'm looking at something gritty like Griselda or I mean Earl Sweatshirt does it too, and what's it called? Wu-Tang Clan. Uh, I think they Wu-Tang at least was. I think it was literally how they recorded and how RZA um, recorded shit onto his equipment, like just old time equipment. So it might be hard to replicate there, but um, other production things, I don't know, man. I think you're a genius when it comes to production compared to what I could tell you. So luckily, there's a genius in production and also a bachelor's in music technology that's here. Is it
Fair.
masters as well in tech,
No,
music
that's
tech, or
that's that's in
is
something
it
else.
okay? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So luckily, there's a genius here on production that can kind of go toe to toe with you. So Josh, what do you think? Production for me, I would say, including the vocals, um, is 70, oof, 80%, 80% green. All right, Josh, go for it.
Cool. All right. The genius says, fix the vocals.
Yeah,
I mean,
same.
that's really the main thing. Like it's really just that the vocal sounds a little bit too present, especially at the beginning. There's a few different vocal parts happening throughout this, and I don't know that they sound super consistent. Like I could pretty easily guess, oh, this one was recorded in one studio and this one in another, and they're different techniques and there's different processing on them even. So one thing that can help a lot with that, I think most of where you hear differences between stuff, like a good part of it is in the low end and the low mids. So if one vocal has way more like oomph, like low end oomph, not necessarily in a good way, uh, that's like such a dead giveaway that this was recorded with a different set of equipment, a different like person mixed it. It just sounds out of place. Like, okay, this was recorded in a bedroom.
Hmm.
Uh, One easy fix for that is like just make sure that the low end and the low mid levels are consistent between any vocals. And I think generally like it's easier to get away with less of that than more, because if you add too much, then the vocal is not really sitting in the mix, it's sort of sitting on it. And yeah, I mean there's a couple places where you can get away with it, but usually if you hear low end in a vocal, it's very tight and well controlled with like a multi-band compressor or something like that. Uh, so yeah, you always have to be careful about low end in vocals as far as fitting into a mix goes, especially if you're getting like a stem from somewhere else or like a track that you're putting a vocal on.
Mhm.
Your biggest task, I mean, your main task really is fitting that into the beat. So yeah, be careful of the low end there. And what else? I mean, the mids can sort of be suspect there too. Like if somebody is band passed in a weird way, or their mic technique is bad, like they're standing too close, or in a in a closet with bad acoustics or something like that, then you can have like build up in different frequency ranges, or just like weird like nasally like back of throat frequencies. Like that can occasionally happen.
Uh,
So yeah, I mean, it's all about just trying to get as professional and consistent of a miking technique for vocals, especially when you're putting it in a finished or partially finished track.
mhm,
Uh, and stay away from the low end. It's tempting, but
mhm.
you want to try to fit it in there. So yeah, I
I'm
mean
learning
that's
that art right as we speak, and I'm taking notes, mental notes of what Josh has just said. So good
yeah.
tip.
Man, I mean, other than that, I can't really think of a lot with production. Again, most of the beat is super cool. I would give you like a 60%,
Dang.
67, 70% between
Yep.
yellow and green.
Mhm.
I think that's accurate.
Man, we've been floating around the same score for the past songs.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even remember what your score was this time because I got lost there.
It was mine was 80, I think, for
Oh,
production.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So overall, I mean, what was it? It was basically like, oh, I went pretty low for content. So, um, you know what? I'll say I want you to redo these vocals. So I would say, um, it's like 20 to 30% developed. I
Oh,
would say.
man. Again, like so close. I was going to say like 30, 35%.
There you go. Yeah, same thing.
Something around there. Yeah.
The beat's fantastic. Maybe change up the middle section a little bit to make us not feel so lost. Um, I need like either a different vocal performance. I want if I was working on it, I'd definitely do another take and just experiment with weird shit, and then mix the vocals differently. So that's my snapshot.
Cool.
Josh, you have anything to add?
Nope.
All right, that was Wanderer and excuse me, Shadow Wanderer and Tasha Baxter at odds.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, at odds.
Yeah, he is one of the guys that gives some of the best feedback in our stream, by the way. So,
Hmm.
I don't think he was chatting with us here today, but still appreciate you for all that you do for our stream. So, next track, 754 Glurping 9. This sounds interesting.
Interesting. In our submission form, it just says glurping, but I see that
Glurping.
SoundCloud is different here. What the fuck? That is a weird looking waveform.
Yeah. So wait, let me see. Oh
This will
yeah,
be
it is.
interesting. This
So
will
he
be really
said,
interesting.
I've been learning how to make these squishy, gooey, stretchy sounds.
Oh,
I just revamped the second drop today, so I'd love input on that section. Anything you two have to say about it is greatly appreciated. Hope you enjoy. Cool. As an Adele, this is going to be an interesting listen at the
I
very
really
least.
hope this is cool. The artwork is cool.
Yeah, the waveform is pretty crazy. So, all right, 754 Glurping 9 as an Adele. Josh, you ready?
3, 2, 1.
Dude, this reminds me of Halo on the flood levels.
That sub bass is crazy.
Ah! Ah! This is like tone sound.
Yeah, what the fuck? Ooh. This is like beatboxing almost.
Grimy.
It's like robotic insects.
It's like robotic burping.
Yeah. That's cool.
Very cone sound which I love cone sound. I want some
All
more
right,
pop-
that did sound a little bit flatulent. I won't lie.
It's like a robot farting and burping on a mic. Crazy. I just thought of something
Whoa,
hilarious that was like kind of like an inner voice in my mind what it was saying.
God,
Uh,
what's
do you
that?
know do you know that Hank Hill meme? Do you know King of the Hill?
Yeah. I mean, I have the show, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's a King of the Hill meme where Hank is like, Bobby's listening to like music or whatever, and like
Oh,
Hank's like, "Oh, I want to listen to what the kids are listening to today," and he like turns it on, and like he like starts to blush and he goes, "Bah, it's just toilet sounds." And I was like,
Wait,
this is like
dude, there's a whole South Park episode about that.
really?
Yeah, where like the parents are like trying to listen to the kids' music and they're like, "This sounds like shit," and they're like, "No, it's good." And then somebody like maybe Stan starts hearing like everything is shit, and he
Yeah.
goes to the doctor, and they're
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Maybe you're just getting old." It's like he actually hears like everything is shit.
That's true, that's true. That's to say, like, that was at the very end when we were like, "Okay, this sounds like a robot burping and farting." I agree with the people in the chat, kinda gives me cone sound vibes, and that's what I was saying the whole time.
Yeah,
Um, the sound design, I think, is incredible.
it
Um,
is.
it's
Really
incredible,
is.
a nice, kind of punchy, drums that are going on. I love the fills, love the toms. Um, and I said this a little bit in my first impressions during the song. I just wish that the kick was a little bit more punchy, like maybe a little more top end, as Josh calls it, beater noise, maybe. But yeah, overall, I think this was a really, really solid track. Um, that's my first impression. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like this dude knows what he's doing. He knows his way
Yeah.
around sound design for sure.
Hmm.
And I have to say, like, it was really fun listening to throughout, right?
Hmm.
Like, I never felt bored. It was almost like a slight high. Like, it was so like novel and strange, and like the bass was like, ooh, like that sub bass was that shit was well mixed. Like, this
Hmm.
guy must have a legit monitoring setup to be able to even hear that stuff and to
Hmm.
accurately mix it in. But yeah, it just sounds well put together and professional, and it keeps things dynamic and changing, and it's not over compressed. The dynamic range is really good, and the loudness is good.
Hmm.
This could be a really, really useful tip for a lot of people, I think. Um, if you want something to sound loud but still dynamic, focus more on getting the low end elements like the bass to be really fat and supportive, and it doesn't have to be like constant, right? But if when those parts come in, they're really full, it just gives the listener the impression they're listening to something that sounds full even in the parts where it's not.
Hmm.
You sort of, I think, when you listen to something and you get acclimated to the frequency spectrum and the dynamic range and all that stuff, you sort of your brain like makes up almost like a space where it's recognizing like what the frequency range of this space is, and how large it sounds based on the reverbs and where things are placed, in the depth of field with spatial effects and stereo panning and all that stuff. And if you set a good precedent with elements that aren't constant, then you open up space to be able to work within like a more dynamic room, sort of, if that makes any sense. So what I'm saying is, in the way that you've executed here, your low end elements, your foundational parts are really, really thick, like heavy, nice low end, controlled low end. Um, but they're not constant, right? Those parts are not like all the
Pulse.
time. They're Yeah, like they're sparsely arranged, and they balance out with each other nicely. And you can see again,
And
even
the
with the
waveform.
waveform, yeah,
Exactly.
that the other parts, you don't need to overcompress things that lie in the mids and the upper range, because our ears are more sensitive to those ranges generally. uh, as long as you've got a good, nice foundation, and the other parts, their max volumes are close to your headroom, then you don't need to fill in all of the little cracks with compression. So I think this is a good example to people of like getting good dynamic range while also sounding full and loud.
Yeah. I think you nailed that shit right on the fucking head. Um, yeah. So vibes.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think vibes, like the fun factor is high here, right?
Hmm.
To give the Doug
Bro.
score.
Hmm.
The fun factor is definitely high. Uh, the- and yeah, I mean, overall, I think like it doesn't feel like it goes on for too long. It's a little bit funny, and we can go into like maybe some of the specifics on sound or production or content or whatever with that. But I like it, right? It makes me smile, it makes me laugh. So I'd just
Yeah.
give it a green on the vibes.
Yeah, I do. I agree. So in the beginning, and you heard me. I don't know if you guys heard me, but I'll say it anyways. I was like, bro, this sounds like a flood level from Halo. like all those different noises. It's like I'm gonna
Yeah.
get eaten by this alien race. It's necrotic alien race, and then it transfers to like this punchy ass drum beat with some jazzy fills, and then like a, a robot burping and farting over a beat, right? Having
Right.
some a robot that needs some Pepsid, some Pepto
Yes.
Bismol. But but it was fun, man. It was solid. Uh, the beat, made me bop my head. I was very impressed with sound design. I think this is a green vibe for me too.
Mhm.
Um, that goes to the content, Josh. What do you think?
Yeah, okay, content, I think this is more where we can get into the specifics of, like, the sound design, that kinda thing.
Mhm.
Um, Again, I think the arrangement's cool, like, the variation's great, all that's good. Uh, I do think that, like, it sounded like you're kind of experimenting with, like, a certain, type of synthesis or a way of sculpting sound, and, uh, experimentation is great in these things, and you find things that you don't necessarily expect. Uh, Evolutionarily, humans, recognize different, you know, um different sound bites, if you can call them that, right? Which is a combination of a lot of different aspects. But uh,
Uh,
the way that like a sound evolves over time, its attack, its spectrum, its all those factors like draw associations, right? So there's obviously like the human speech band where things are louder, right? The human ear is more sensitive in that area. And
uh-huh.
then there's just like sounds that are we recognize, right? Like the same way that like a machine learning algorithm recognizes something that looks like a bird because of the relative composition of, colors and pixels and shapes.
Yeah.
When you sculpt, there are things that you can accidentally stumble upon when you sculpt sounds in a specific frequency range with a specific attack, a specific envelope, that sounds a little bit flatulent,
I
right?
mean,
Like,
he
yeah,
he he says, "quote Learning how to make these squishy, gooey, stretchy sounds." Bro, like how else would you describe
it's a
flatulent
great
sound,
description. Yeah, I
right?
mean, it's not just flatulence, right? But I mean, it's like
Glurping,
there's a
glurping.
little, yeah, like it sounds a little bit like sounds that come from human or like animal and human organs, right? Like it's
Mhm.
just the attack and envelope and frequency space of like elastic materials emitting sound, right?
Yeah,
That's basically what it is. So it is
glurping.
like the stretchy and like gooey stretchy sounds, whatever, is basically what it is. That's where it comes from.
He might have like wanted to go for that sound, and quite frankly, he nailed it if that's the case.
Yeah,
But
yeah, totally.
but
But if you're trying to go like it depends what you're trying to like put out there. Like you
yeah.
honestly could have gone even farther with that sort of, vibe of the sounds and made it like super funny, like hilarious to listen to, right? And it might even be like better in a few ways if it was so funny that people want to like keep listening to it because they just crack up. And there are points when I think we started like kind of laughing and then like it goes back into more serious and like that's great. But I either want to hear a really funny version with like all of the burp noises and like flatulence and all of that stuff just like amplified, or one where you dial that stuff back so it doesn't really draw those associations and just sounds like good, cool sound design, like maybe weird, more alien sounds rather than like robotic insect sounds or whatever. Um, so yeah, I just think being like super careful and mindful of like if a sound comes out that you sculpt that sounds like weird, the listener's probably gonna like it's gonna pique their ear too, and they're gonna be like, "What is going on here?" So just be mindful of that, whether that's your intention or not. I don't know if it is, but in the content section, I think I'll give you like 70% between yellow and green because I think it's well arranged. I don't get bored, but I don't know what you're aiming for if it's supposed to be funny like that or if it's accidental.
Sorry, I linked you in the chat the Hank Hill video. I don't know if you want to put it on stream or not, but it's just so funny to me. Um, I agree, man. Like to condense what Josh said, it sounds like a robot burping and farting. So if that's what you're going for, you nailed it. But from a commercial standpoint, and a lot of people, and I said it too, say that you remind them of Cone Sound, and Cone Sound, I think they're one like fantastic musicians, fantastic artists. They do these crazy kind of uh, jazzy dubstep almost, and they have like amazing sound design. But something that I really admire, that puts them at another level is they do jazzy melodies too, and like the melody that they have with those, borderline fart burp noises, it's enough to sound serious, and it sounds like an awesome song that you can like really jam out to, versus a robot robot burping and farting on a mic. So, um, all that being said, some of Cone's sounds are more ambiguous. They have more ambiguous songs that are kind of like this. Like I could see this on a Cone Sound EP. It wouldn't be their top song, So that's like the marketability of this argument. But in terms of a song itself, I'd say it's like pretty decent. What did you put it at? 70?
Yeah.
Content. You know what? I'll put it at like I'd say it's good.
90.
Right. I don't know, because it's like if he's not going for a melodic tune, then this is kind of it's good to go. It's fine to me. I leave it up to interpretation at that point. Like I wasn't bored. It was a happy time. I guess this is sound choices. So yeah, you know what? I'll put it at like a 90. But yeah, that's our thoughts on that, man. It's a robot was glurping, and depending on what your image of it is and what ours is,
Yeah.
you might want to make changes. You might not.
Hey, the entertainment value is what counts.
Yeah. If you do, post it with that Hank Hill video for sure.
Yes.
Production, dude, I think it's green, man. I think if I were to do production and sound design, it's like almost purple. Like it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yep. I'll give production a green as well. Track total. What do you think?
80%
Yeah.
between green and yellow.
I could agree with that.
Yeah. Actually, wait. No. What did I put for sound design? 80? 90%.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's cool. That was fantastic though, Asnadel. That was crazy. Keep
Can I
up the
play
up-
the King of the Hill video?
Do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, we might get sued, but it's worth it.
All right, go for it. Oh, it's so great. Oh yes, I wish I could hear it.
What you listening to,
I'll just
son?
watch it.
I don't think you like it.
Well, why not? I like this new generation of music. Mother of God, it's all toilet sounds. Where did you record that?
Okay.
Why is
Right
it
at
a
the
phone
mall.
ringing?
It's a funny
Oh wait,
function.
wait.
Let me tell you, Bobby,
Go ahead,
there's
pause it.
nothing funny about these
Wait.
sounds.
That's it.
What
Okay,
that
you can-
person
okay.
on your
Okay. All right, I paused it.
No, I was like, you can keep watching. I just don't know where you're at.
has is a medical disorder.
But
It's a
Now, you
medical
get ready for
disorder.
the game, okay?
Yes, sir.
That boy ain't right.
He said that boy ain't right.
dude, I mean, so people always like they take that like snip and then they put like when he puts on the headphones, they put on like the type of music they're making fun of.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
my
my
god!
God.
But I literally was like at the end when I was like, this sounds pretty flatulent, and I was like, dude, I could totally put the Hank Hill meme in this.
It's funny.
But okay, that's glurping.
Dope.
Everybody. Thank you very much, Asnadel. That made me smile, man. That was awesome.
Yes.
Whew. All right, bless is next. Wait, that we're
Bless.
going to. This might be the last song too.
Might be. We'll see how fast we can get. This is a short one.
155. That's true. Okay, bless. So outside, finished release. I made a beat in the style of an artist called Mayat, a Russian artist. Cool, Russian.
Mail.
Crazy.
Cool.
All right, so that's it on the description side. You ready?
Yep.
All right, outside, Mayat, type beat. Oh, it's a type beat. Okay, bless. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yes.
Russian type beats, huh?
Nice.
Ooh, it's kind of. Ah! It's like heat.
Whoa.
Interesting change up there. It's like a rattly, bit crushed 808.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of like that lead.
For sure.
Nice little motif there.
What, that delay there?
The do 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 little
Gotcha.
keys part.
This really is a great beat.
Yeah.
Someone could go crazy on this. It reminds me of an artist called Pete.
Reminds me of an artist called Mayot.
Perhaps. I haven't listened to him.
Mayot.
They all. Nice. This is fire.
Cool. Ooh, nice little touch on that hat at the end.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, dude. That was, I mean, for me, that's good to go. Ship, pack it up, done. It's up to the artist to make it something special. The beat is fire.
Sure.
It's unique as shit. What do you think of in terms of your first impressions?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think I'll just try to go through this quickly because it's short and there's not a lot to say.
Yep.
I'll just package these comments into the categories pretty much.
Sure.
I think the first thing that I noticed in order was it sounds a little dry, just a little bit dry to me, where like that kick, like the sort of crushed kick and
Yeah.
the snare. Maybe it's partly they sound a little bit stock, right? And I think sometimes, honestly, like things sound a little bit too stock when they're like too perfect, right? When like the sound is so even and when it's repeated, it's exactly the same versus like having little bits of variation, like some like higher quality drum synthesizers or beat pads or whatever, like slightly vary the samples on each run. Um, either that or just having like something that sounds a little bit more organic where the waveform is less uniform. A good way to get past that is layering. I definitely suggest like layer at least 2 snares on this and it'll sound a lot more unique and a little bit fuller, and not so kind of like vanilla. That's the main thing that I heard. And also you could comment that of course with a little bit of reverb or delay or like a stereo delay that's subtle might be cool. I did like what you did with the kick, like it kind of a little bit of variation there. And there's a couple of like I think wrinkles in the time signature throughout that like some of them I really like and others feel a little bit like it's too broken up, if that makes any sense.
Bro, this is a tight beat. He's gonna trip up some of the rappers for sure.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
Maybe they're trying to weed out those rappers, but I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I wasn't sure if each of those dropouts were the same, so it's kind of hard to tell if they were like random or sort of more strategic or planned.
I only noticed one in the beginning,
I
like
think
around
there were like
like
4
20
throughout
seconds.
the song. There were like 4 of them, I think.
Okay, I
3 or
guess one
4.
threw me off, but I don't know
Yeah, yeah. The one at the beginning definitely.
for sure.
But yeah, I mean, as far as vibes go, I think it's like well packaged. The changes between the sections are fine. I would give you like an 80% on the vibes. Then for content, I think it's like
I'm at greed by the way. I'll just follow you.
okay, yeah. For the content, I think it's like mostly good. I do think those sounds could be a little bit more unique. And that could also come into the production side too, but it could be with the sound choices themselves and the arrangement. Like, I was gonna say originally that the variation between the choruses, like the first and second choruses, open up in pretty much the exact same way, and I was like, are these going to be carbon copies of each other? And I think I did hear a little bit of variation, which was good. But even if the beginning of that second chorus could feel a little bit different from the first, that would be nice. But other than that, content, I would give it like a 75% of the way to green. What do you think?
I don't know. In terms of sound, I'm like, so the sound choices you talked about layering the snares. I listened back while you were talking about it. Uh, to me, it sounds like kind of, I wouldn't say stock, but very common, very
Yeah.
common sounding clap slash snare kind of combo. I think the 808 sounds very interesting, very unique. Maybe I haven't heard of Mayot. It sounds to me like a little bit reminiscent of Yeet, who's kind of making waves right now. So I'm kind of, I like slightly disagree in terms of those because I think it's kind of par for the course, and for a type beat, that's kind of what you're going for. Um, I see the variation kind of aspect too. Also the type beat kind of thing. Um, I think as a rapper, it's kind of up to you. Like the type beat gives you these different sections to work with, and depending on how you blend it together, chop things up, and then do your vocal performance, that's kind of up to you to make it a full fledged song. Um, so yeah, I think content. Would I put it? I'm trying to think. Would I put it any docs? Would I have it any reason to put it below a good to go? And I don't think I do. So that's my take on it.
Cool. And then for production, I mean, I think it's mainly just the sound choices, maybe like adding a little bit of space to make it sound like not so dry. Um, but yeah, overall, I would say it's probably like also 75% of the way to green.
Mm-hmm. I think it's I think it's great. I don't know like how much I would change really and what I would do differently as a mastering engineer. There's a lot of cool things that they're doing, especially with delay. I think it was like a I don't want to say what is it 1/4 delay or something. The, that kind of delay. They were fucking around with that everywhere, and also it showed up like in their kick pattern. And I thought it was really just fun to listen to. So um, yeah, I don't think I have much to say for production. I think it's green. I think this is a good type beat to sell. People will be happy with this. You might
Yeah.
trip up some amateur rappers there, including me. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
solid.
I think it would be a good find for somebody as a type beat to use, but only if they sort of give it a little bit of TLC and kind of like turned into more of a finished track. I
For
mean,
sure.
maybe it's a good thing, if it's a type beat that you're planning on letting people use or sell it, that it isn't completely finished, right? So it's easier, like I almost feel like it feels like it's under construction a little bit. Like it's sort of it smells of drywall a little bit,
Mhm.
right? Like it doesn't necessarily feel like the final coat of paint has been put on or like the artwork on the walls or like the furniture, but it's a good like structure, right? It's definitely a good structure. So
For sure.
for the purpose, I think it's pretty good. For the track total, I would give it like an 85-90 of the way to good to go for that
Yep.
purpose.
Yep. I see that. Yeah, I'll say it's pretty much good to go as a type beat for sure. That's kind of sad thing because there is like a difference between full fledged instrumental track. This is like got the polish on it versus a type beat.
Yeah, sure.
So this definitely doesn't hit that full fledged instrumental track. Um, but as a type beat, I think it's pretty much good to go.
Dope.
Cool.
All right,
Blessed.
let's do one last one.
724. You want to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. What are we at? Lore.
Louder.
Grievous Lady. Let's see if there's a description here. Grievous Lady. Nothing is but what is not. Finished
Hmm.
release.
Deep.
A collab with Team Grimior. Team Grimior versus Lauer. Is it a collab or a battle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Team
It says list
Grimior.
your streaming links, and it says do whatever you want. So I don't know what that means, but all right.
Okay, I will.
Grievous Lady, nothing is but what is not. Team Grimior Lauer in 2019. This is an old one. Let's cancel. Memories of Conflict. Archaea Sound Collection. Wow, this fucking anime type album art it looks fantastically drawn.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys draw that? Let us know. That's crazy. All right. You want to listen to it?
Let's do it.
All right. Team Grimoire versus Lauer. 3, 2, 1. Six minutes. Incoming.
Yeah.
Wow. Ooh.
Really cool.
Well, here we go.
Mm.
Kind of brick walled there, the piano, but
Ooh.
oh, maybe my Spotify player's loud.
Like the rain sound.
Fucking trailer.
Epic. Ooh, wow. That's cool.
Ooh, little harsh.
Super movie-esque.
Yes.
It's pretty loud.
Yes.
Wow, it got louder.
Ah, wow, hard style tight.
Yeah.
Woo. This is wearing on my ears at this volume. I need to turn it
Yeah,
down.
I turned way down.
Ouch.
I like that classical style
Yeah.
stuff happening. Ooh, nice transition.
For sure. These parts are hard.
Yeah. It's cool, but so loud.
I love it. It's been a while.
Intense.
This feels like a DDR mashup. Or one of those rhythm game mashups.
Man, that violin sounds fucking great.
So if this is a
No.
legitimate submission, these guys are pretty big, by the way.
Damn.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's quite legitimate, but Lauer. So clicking on Lauer on Spotify, they have about 100,000 monthly listeners,
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
and Team Grimior has 35K. I
Nice.
think they said it was Lauer. So Lauer, if you found us on Twitch, that's fucking awesome. I don't know if you're the real deal, but I mean, that was a crazy ass track, man. Or lady or guy, I don't know. But yeah, apparently just showed up on Twitch. So let us know if it's the real you. If not, it's whatever.
We had somebody bait and switch us a while ago where they like said they were some like
Yeah,
famous
YouTuber.
YouTuber and we tried to make them prove it and they couldn't. It was a whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, it
Weird.
was.
It's very weird.
It
They
was
they sent like three tracks from this guy and they each time they're like, okay, like this one will be like a regular song. And it was like something crazy. It was not.
yeah. We
But
like
anyways,
did a little deep dive into their page too. It's like, is this legitimate?
yeah, we did our investigation.
But yeah. So that being said, Toho hardstyle type beat. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Toho. I forgot what that exact genre is, but it goes with the anime fucking type, fast music, nightcore. But this wasn't nightcore.
Mm,
Definitely hardstyle type shit. So
yeah.
that's the first impression that I got. Loud as fuck. Um, I had to turn my ears down, or sorry,
Turn
my
your ears down. Yeah, me too.
I
They turn themselves down.
have a what is it? Hearing disorder type beat after that, but yeah, that was really solid, man. Speedcore, sure. Thank
Speedcore
you.
makes sense.
Thank you.
Could have guessed that.
Bro, in terms of like critique, these guys are at a professional level in my opinion. Um, what do you think, Josh?
I'll put an asterisk on that. I think musically these guys are at a professional level.
Mhm.
Like, whoa. I mean, this is like 6 minutes of intricate, complex. I don't know why the screen share just went away there, but it's all good. We don't need it anymore.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like intricate, complex, you know, well-informed musical parts, right? Like, I
Yep.
mean, there's like some hardcore, like classical composition shit happening here, like not standard stuff that you see by any means. And
Beautiful.
yeah, and like, I mean, harmonically, there's cool stuff happening. I think rhythmically, like the melodies all feel very natural.
Sounded like
The
a movie.
Yeah, there's some parts in there that really sound professional, like, movie trailer esque. And there's all that cool rhythmic stuff happening and variants. Now, I haven't personally listened to a ton of speedcore. It just
Mhm.
hasn't worked its way into my schedule yet. But uh, towards the end, it felt a little bit like hyperactive, right? I mean, obviously it's speedcore, right? But like I can appreciate like really fast driving stuff, but when it feels like it's tripping over its own feet a little bit, then I'm like, maybe you could clean it up just a little bit there. Maybe that didn't sound so intentional.
Mhm.
And it's not the tempo, right? Like there are parts where it's like it makes total sense rhythmically, and then towards the end, it just got a little bit extreme where it's like trying to press the button too fast, but you can't really quite do it. So I mean that's just like a small stylistic like preference, really.
Mhm.
But other than that, I mean, musically, yes, I think it's like super professional, super well put together. Production, in my opinion, is like barely passing, and
Mhm.
it's not in the typical way where it's like you haven't done the production here, like things are not defined or like it's not compressed or put together well enough. It's the opposite, where I suspect they might be using the Ozones a little bit
Love it.
aggressively of the world, or maybe the Landers or some sort of automated mastering thing, or just mastering it in a room that doesn't translate super well to other
Mhm.
systems, and that could even be a really good studio, but where the volume in the room is either too loud or too quiet, or just the way the speakers are interacting, or the volume or the treatment. Even if this was mastered in a studio, it still doesn't guarantee that it'll translate, as it should. And I think the main problem is just with the brick wall mastering, the brick wall limiting compression.
Yep.
Like I mean, you mentioned it at the beginning with the piano, and I actually thought it was like sort of okay. It could use a little bit more dynamic range, and it would probably sound a little better. It would breathe a little bit more. But then, like the later sections where it's super compressed, I mean, I'm looking at the VU meter on my output, and it's just like static. It's just static at a very high level, and I mean, I had to turn down like almost 10 dB
Yeah,
because
I
it
had to
got
turn
it
down
got
twice.
so yeah, because it got so loud and so harsh. And again, like you hear it time and time again, but it's so easy to trick yourself into thinking when you're making it louder and louder with compression, especially those automated mastering services where you listen A B when you haven't actually like done any of the tweaking yourself. And the second one sounds way louder. So instantly you're like, yep, I'll go with it. They must know what they're doing. It sounds better. But man, does it make a big difference when you lose that dynamic range? It just the instruments don't sound as good. Like you lose the character of the actual sounds themselves and the dynamics of the song and the section changes, and it just becomes harder to listen to overall. So yeah, that's the thing that I was kind of disappointed by. I mean, it's like the effort that went into it is awesome, but it's just that final step of like brick walling the shit out of it. It doesn't make it better.
Mhm.
It can deceive you into thinking that it is, but then like when you give a controlled listen at equal volumes, you'll be like, oh, one of them sounds more alive and the other one sounds kind of flat. So that's my main thing. And I mean, I could probably. We don't really have. We're kind of out of time. That's a lot that I just said there.
Yeah,
Just to sort of bottle those into categories, I would say like vibes is really cool, right? Maybe
yeah,
there's a few things that could help the vibes, like on the in those problem areas, but overall, it's like it's just about green good to go on the vibes. I would
I
say.
agree. I agree.
Content, I again like wow, musically it's super super impressive, crazy, really
Hmm.
good. A couple of areas where it feels like maybe it could be just controlled a little better, like maybe stumbling a little bit. But overall, like the rest of the content side is awesome. Keeps it moving for a 6 minute song too.
Hmm.
So I would give it green for content, and then
Hmm.
production, I would have to say yellow really because I just think that's so important. Like if your listeners can't comfortably listen to your song, it's game over, right? Like what are the chances they're going to go back and be like, I'd like to assault my ears again, right?
Yeah,
I like the song, but my ears don't.
yeah.
So yeah, that's my thoughts. What about you?
I echo that sentiment exactly because I literally was listening to it at a loud level, had to turn it down. I was like, my ears are ringing because of that. Then it's like affecting the rest of like my hearing experience. Like I can't really hear the detail. And then it was loud again, and I had to turn it down again. And I was like, wow, this is not very a nice experience. No matter what crazy kind of cool kind of Team Grimoire versus Loud hardstyle speedcore versus this orchestral like movie type soundtrack and melodies are crazy. Um, the sounds are high quality, but then you put a brick wall limiter on it and then fuck it all up. And like some of and it was there throughout, but also like there was parts where it was especially grating. Like if you had like a riser come in, it was like, and they do that movie thing where it goes like it's like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was just it hurt. It like it literally hurt. So I think that encompasses it. Like green, impressive green content vibes, but production, yeah, it can't be painful. So overall, I mean, this was released in 2019. This is a finished release. I don't even know if this is real a submission,
hopefully,
but it's I can't have a track that hurts. So it's like
yeah,
30% between good to go and develop. I'd
yeah.
really take another look at the master there.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big issue. I was even gonna say like 50% between yellow and green, just because I think
Yeah,
like half of it is all of the musical stuff and
I see that.
the
Yeah,
content, the arrangement, like that stuff is great and the vibes. But yeah, the other half is that mastering, which definitely needs some help.
for sure. Giordano, I think more contrast would have made it stronger. The piano at the beginning was mellow, made it feel powerful. Intensity ramped up, but then it stayed very intense, too loud and numbing. Yeah,
Yeah, I
numbing is a
agree.
great way to put it. I felt numb after it, and like my ears,
Not comfortably.
yeah, and my ears are like damaged. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go to the doctor after this. Good thing the
yep.
stream is over.
But That was very impressive, nonetheless. Okay, but
Cool.
that was our last song for the week, guys. We have a lot of submissions now. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
sure
Um,
do.
so we ended at Lauer. Lauer, if this is actually you, like, or Team Grimoire, whoever submitted it, like, let us let us know, because it looks like you guys are having some success. We'd love to talk to some of the more successful artists to see, not only past uh, making the music and production, but actually, what have you learned pushing it out, promoting it, maybe even with labels. We'd love to talk to people like that. So that's you. Let us know. We have Quo next, Shibblebee, Rix's, Castronovo, Meadle, Giordano Martinez, and then Yordnads for next week. That's like a full ass roster right there.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you guys submit it, we will get to it eventually. So we will try to get through everybody next week that we have. But if not, just submit it and we'll get it to you eventually. And then, yeah, uh, it's always a fun time. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I see long name here. Edward, I presume is your name. Uh
935, yeah.
saying it's over. Ah, shit, I didn't even know. Yeah, so we go from approximately 5:30 to 7:30 every Friday.
Yeah.
If we could go late into the night and had infinite time, we would. But we do have this window every week. Most weeks, usually we update our like in our Instagram bio if we're on each Friday. So definitely like if you're not sure, I mean, usually we're on, but there are occasionally weeks when we're not. Uh, if you check our Instagram bio, you'll usually be able to tell. But yep,
935, are you Yordnads? Is that you?
yeah, let us know.
I know I've seen 935 in our chat before.
Oh, he is
Okay, okay. Yeah. All
cool.
right. We got you for the next week. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Appreciate you stopping by though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone for submitting your stuff. Love to hear it as always. Hope we can be of some use. And yeah, we should presumably be back next Friday again. Like we said, follow us on Instagram and Twitch, YouTube. We have a Discord. I think the link is in our link tree, which is on the Instagram. So that's kind of the central place.
Peace,
Follow us
giraffe.
there. Yeah, neck like a giraffe. Thanks for sticking around. Appreciate it. And
Big
yeah.
old neck.
All right, you got anything else?
Nah, I'm good, man. Let's shut it down.
Cool. Let's shut it down. All right, thanks everyone. Have a
Later.
great weekend
Happy
and
Friday.
enjoy the rest of your Friday.
just send you raving. I don't understand why. I just won't hand dry. I just won't dry. I don't understand why. If I could be a man, if I could be a man.
good.